This podcast is brought to you in association with BSE and its investor awareness initiatives. Gone are the days when women mostly preferred to lock their money in familiar investment avenues like fixed deposit and physical gold. Now, with more women joining the workforce, growing awareness about various investment options, and of course, a roaring bull market, equities are increasingly becoming a part of their investment portfolios. The question is the shift in investment behavior among women here to stay? We'll be discussing that and a lot more in today's episode, which is part of the BSE Investor Week special podcast. I am Nishant Vasudevan, the markets editor of the Economic Times and your host for this episode. To explore this topic, we have two seasoned market professionals who have made their mark in the cutthroat world of finance. Amisha Vora, chairperson and managing director of Prabhudas Liladhar Group, and Lakshmi Iyer, CEO of Kotak Alternate Asset Managers. Let me first welcome Amisha Vora. Thank you, Amisha, for joining in.
It's absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
The first question is, now for long, women have mostly put most of their money in traditional asset classes like gold and fixed deposits. Now, with a lot of women joining the workforce and also thanks to the booming stock market, some of that seems to be changing. We are now seeing a lot more women investing in equities. Now, how do you evaluate this pace of change in the shift in investor behavior among women?
So let me tell you that last 5 to 7 years has been a real game changer, be it from the perspective of women in workforce. That number from 17 FY17 to FY23, just in about 6 years, has grown from 23 to 37%. And as women get empowered by doing their own work, earning for themselves and family, naturally, they also get empowered to make their financial decisions. At the same breath, I would like to say that our traditional behavior as Indian to put our money into gold has still not left us high and dry. This is still worked out over last 10, 20, and 30 years as one of the very good investments when you see their CAGR returns. But importantly, what has happened in last 5 years, that is post COVID, and what we expect things to happen is more and more financialization of savings, which means that as compared to lend, as compared to gold, more money needs to come into equity market, and which is what has been really happening. So women is not left behind. Number of women investors into mutual fund, which was just about same, close to 15%, has now grown to 21%, which means women have aligned their investment trends with what's been broadly happening in terms of appreciation in the particular asset class.
Right, right. That's a very valid point that you said that post COVID there's been a pickup in participation among women investors. But in your experience, that I mean, whatever you've seen in the past 4 or 5 years, how do women generally like to participate in the stock market? Do they prefer trading or investing?
You will be amazed to know that there are dedicated women groups where they go for plant visits. They meet once a week to discuss balance sheets and its nitty gritty. And they also discuss the macroeconomy. They invite seasoned fund managers, economists for lectures, and they all then discuss things. So, awareness from very analytical and professional perspective. Two, I have been very fortunate to give awards to young 16-year, 21-year girls for the best trader across men and women. And they are housewives in their 40s, 50s, but they have taken up. So everybody can take this up, and it will help share a very good responsibility for a man who's already busy doing the business or a service. And women can develop this skill because this is a skill to be developed. So, this is once again one field where women is not left behind.
And those are extremely encouraging signs that we see in the market. But in your experience, what is the one big mistake or, the mistakes that women generally make while investing or trading?
See, I think some mistakes are common for men and women in trading or investments. But I'll just put one more anecdote. When we sit down for playing cards in flush, what happens? Men will start putting blinds higher and higher stake. In that case, women with good game will pack, and men with bad game will win because that risk taking ability we've not developed as much. So, market as such is not a game of flush, but sometimes you have to weather through the volatility. In that, having that grit to stand by your decision is what sometimes women lack, is what I feel. And that's one message that I would definitely like to convey. So, similarly, when it comes to volatility in the markets, women should not pack their investments, book loss, or similarly come out at a very marginal profits. They should also learn to have that grit to hold on to profits and also weather through the pain of mark to market losses. Not that that does not apply to men, but I think women needs to develop that little more as they are starting this investments and trading more recently.
Absolutely, absolutely. You are a market veteran with over 3 decades of experience in the market. For you, what has been the trickiest financial or maybe investment decision in your life?
Typically my style is to try and find out companies where there is possibility of high profit growth and re-rating. So typically they are a turnaround case or at an inflection point. So I don't look at very steady state kind of a growth company. And when you try to do that, sometimes the management quality becomes a challenge. And that is a big judgment in your investments that you have to take. And even if sometimes you have taken a correct judgment on management quality, the management capability is another key variant which comes to play, because when you grow aggressively, your ability to put up the team, put up the processes, measure the risk in the business also becomes equally important. So there have been instances where in these judgments, I have had my own share of problems. So sometimes some of those judgments have failed for sure.
Misha, now what about your personal investment strategy? How do you invest your own money? How much of that is in equities?
I tell you, my entire wealth is in equity, barring about 10 to 15%, which is in real estate. As you might be knowing, just about a year back, I took a decision to take 100% in PL Capital Group.
Yes.
So this is
Yes.
a full equity investments which I made. So I'm not a very fixed income kind of an investor, being absolutely in the market. But to others, I would definitely recommend that when you are not a professional investor, it's very important to do financial planning across fixed income, gold, equities, and real estate, because all have different character in terms of risk return and liquidity. And which is what it is very important to balance while you want your savings to meet your long term wealth creation goals.
Right. That's very interesting. But when you decided to take the full 100 percentage, when you decided to buy the entire equity in Prabhudas Leeladhar, was there any apprehension in your mind about kind of going all out into this business? Because this business as such, it's a cutthroat business. It's entirely male dominated. How did it work for you?
So, of course, I had apprehensions. A, because of my age, because this is a business like being on a treadmill. You have to keep running, but you are at the same place. As what you said, this is very competitive. B, I had apprehension because I was putting a lot of, rather, all my eggs into one basket. C, I had apprehension that such a large team, we are a team of 600, we have so much banking line and we are so much compliant because so many authorities monitor us. But I had just one core faith is that this is the golden decade for India. So when I took, things were very bad in markets. But I knew that the way our macroeconomics are changing and our policy making is changing, it's not going to be far before the markets will start recognizing it. And markets will do very well. And this is a virtuous circle of markets. You provide capital to entrepreneurs through IPO. That's when it gets reinvested into economy does better. And demographic, we were very positive always. Now there are catalysts which is igniting this demographic. So that core confidence, A, in the Indian economy outlook, and B, that over 8 decades, Prabhudas Leather has been in existence for since 1944, over 8 decades. We have never been on the wrong side of any regulator. So the inherent culture, inherent brand ethos are so strong that I thought if anything I should do justice to this brand. So I said I must take this chance instead of hanging my boots and thinking that I could have done that and I could have done that. Why not do it? Just to add, to give that confidence to myself. One very important thing helped. Uh, during COVID, I was walking and all that. And then I got on to trekking. And just before taking this decision, I went to Everest Base Camp trekking. And there I had to really, after first day, which was very tough, I had to tell myself that you are not going to pay attention to how much longer you are going to walk and what your legs or your back or your mind is telling you. And you won't believe when I instructed this to myself, my next 7 days were excellent because I just didn't give a trick that I'm tired, this is happening to me, and that is happening to me. And there I was walking on snow tracks. On the top was just the sand, and below was snow, ice. I could have fallen any moment, and anything could have happened. It didn't happen. So if I take that chance, why don't I take this chance in the business?
That's fantastic. It'll be encouraging for a lot of budding entrepreneurs to kind of test waters. Before we wind up this discussion, if you had one advice to a woman who's just joined the workforce, how much of money they should allocate, let's say across asset classes or to maybe equities, what would your advice be?
See, once again, I'll give you one very simple example for all the listeners. In the investment world, how much you invest is not as important as for how long you invest. Assuming you join the workforce at the age of 20, 21, whatever, just a simple investment of 2000 rupees a month can lend you to have a 5 crore retirement surplus at the age of 60. Put it into simple ETFs, put it into mutual funds, can also substantially create wealth. Early on, equities are the best asset class. You can go up to 60, 70% into equity. And the balance 30% divide 10% into gold, 15-20% into fixed income. But as you start aging, in case your risk taking ability reduces, then you can put more into fixed income. If you're starting your investments at say 50, 55, and you want to depend on your recurring incomes, put more, 40%, 50% into fixed income. Say some nice corporate deposits also gives you better than bank. Gold bonds give you gold price appreciation plus 2.5% interest. Not to miss out on that. So that little better decision making gives a much better CAGR. And if you can invest more time in upgrading yourself and developing the skill of either trading or investments, then direct investments. Never to mistake that you can make money without any learning by just hearsay. इसने बोला चल गया, उसने बोला चल गया. जब गिरेगा कोई मिलने नहीं आएगा. So having your own development of little skill is very important. You can't be all the time lucky in life. You have to work for being lucky.
Absolutely, absolutely. And those are, the smart observations, the wise words that have come from somebody who's tracked markets for so long, who has taken a plunge into business, who has been an entrepreneur. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us in this show. It was great having you. Joining me next is Lakshmi Iyer of Kotak Alternate Asset Managers. Thank you, Lakshmi, for joining in. So the first question that we have in mind is that women have mostly stuck to traditional asset classes like fixed deposit and gold. Now we are seeing more women trying their hand at equities, possibly because more women are part of the workforce and also because of the bull run. Now, what is your assessment of this change in investment behavior among women?
Yeah, hi Nishant. I think your observation was bang on. Women are slowly, steadily, and continually, I would say, wanting to own other asset classes, specifically equities, deviating from the typical, the traditional mode of investment mindset, which used to give them returns, but obviously very paltry, very measly returns. Second most important thing is in the last 5 years, we have seen significant value creation happen from the capital market side. And that also combined with the awareness, I think has led to some proliferation of this trend. And I think this trend is set to continue and further accentuate.
Right. Now, Lakshmi, you must be getting there might be a lot of people asking you for, whenever you talk about markets, they might be asking you for tips. And now, when women ask you for tips, what is the most common one? What is it that strikes you the most?
The two things I tell them, one is forget tip, go for sip. And I genuinely tell this to them because I am a big sip investor myself. Number two, I tell them is the only stock that you need to go long is the stock called India. The fact of the matter is that, when you are not completely initiated into the world of finance, which is what typically, the women I interact with are, tips will not work. It can be fly by night. It will give you some instant success. It'll give you some bragging rights. But the sustained journey of wealth creation has to be a more disciplined investment journey, which is what I try to keep harnessing into their minds.
Right, right. And what, according to you, is the biggest mistake made by women while investing?
I would say there are many, but to start with, every investment need not be with mindset of instant gratification. Second, most importantly, low value does not necessarily mean higher accreting. So there is this fallacy that I want low value in terms of rupees amount stocks. I encounter so many of them, conversing with me in that manner. So that is another big myth buster. So I think some of these people, some of these women, for example, come with a fixed kitty. They say, okay, I have this amount and now tell me the lowest value stock where you think there will be the maximum appreciation. That's really not the way to look at investments. So these are some of the common, I would say, fallacies or myths or mistakes, as you call it. And last but not the least, the mindset that equities will never lose money for you. also needs to be removed. In the short term, you have to be prepared for these whipsawed, volatile movements. But I think staying the course is extremely critical for all of these as investors.
Lakshmi, you mean to say that they are more inclined to trading and quick gains rather than investing and staying the course?
That is correct. That is correct. That is where intuitive mentality has been. And this trend, Nishant, actually started gaining more momentum when we saw a work from home kind of concept during the pandemic. And it just continued because since that, it's been almost 5 years, there's barely been a red or a dull market, which has prolonged for very long. So I think that has, kind of created, I would say, a little bit of short-termism in the minds of investors. I'm not saying this is true for all, so I don't want to generalize. But yes, bulk of the women I interact with have been coming with that kind of a mindset, which definitely needs to change.
Right, right. And does that, when things go wrong, does it kind of fall into a loop, where you lose money and then you lose confidence? And then, it takes a lot of time for them to come back to the market, come back to the system and kind of rectify their mistakes?
Yes, it does happen where, once you really, it becomes like a once bitten, twice shy. And then the gravitation towards gold, which is, I would say, a chumbak or a magnetic pull for most women, that tends to happen. And let me bring in real estate over here. Real estate is the new fatal attraction for most of them.
And why do you say fatal attraction?
See, I would say that because it's a physical asset class, it's extremely illiquid. I have nothing against real estate, but it is about how much you want to own, what percentage you want to own, and obviously, are you keeping it as a core of your investment thesis? Because there is attraction towards land. For example, you're seeing appreciation in land, so you want to own land. You think it's a trading mechanism. You can buy in, buy out. Again, as I said, some of these are myths which really need to be busted. Real estate in the physical form is extremely illiquid, and that is the reason I called it a fatal attraction.
Great, great. That's interesting. Now, Lakshmi, you have been predominantly a fixed income expert. You started your career as a fixed income specialist. You managed fixed income money. Now, from your personal investment strategy, how do you invest your personal money? Is it mostly in fixed income or how do you?
No, so I'm a very, very boring investor. 90% of my money is in equities, actually more than 90%. And the balance 10 is, between the house that I live in and of course a little bit of gold. I do SIPs in gold as well. And my equity investments are split into two. I get my parent stock, which is Kotak Bank, in dowry, as I call Dahej. Women usually give dowry. I get dowry. So that's the only stock I have in my DBAT account. And everything else is through mutual funds, which I do a monthly systematic investment plan. And for me, ups, downs, Amavasya, full moon night doesn't really disturb me, nor a hot and scorching day in the markets, because these are investments for me, which I believe it's fill it, shut it and forget it. So I'm not a broker's delight because I don't trade at all. So that's how it is. And trust me, that has created enough and more wealth for me to eat my soup and salad and my roti sabzi. So I'm sorted.
Fantastic, fantastic. And what, according to you, has been your best investment decision in your life? And maybe something that you've regretted in terms of investment?
So as I said, I started off SIP very early on in life. In my working career, I would say, within the second year of my work life, I actually started SIP. I started very small. And the best thing I did was to keep topping it up every time I got a pay hike. And the best thing I also did was in Lehman, when I got a pay cut, we all had to, as senior leadership, take some pay cut for a very short period of time. I didn't stop my SIPs even then. So these were, when I ruminate, one of my best things that I did to sustain this wealth creation journey. In terms of mistakes, I would say on the investment side, of course, at the portfolio level, you keep making mistakes, you learn stuff. But on the personal side, as I said, because they were all very boring IP investments, which compounded more than wonderfully well for me. The one mistake I did early on in my investment career was to assume that insurance is equal to investments and then realized that it's not worth it. And then I stuck to term insurance. So which morphed my thinking from an investment, avenue product to a risk cover, which is what insurance is meant to be. So I think that probably, I think because the amounts were small, I kind of got baptized very early into understanding that it is a risk cover, and therefore I could atone for it. So I think that would be my own fallacy or my own mistake in my investment journey.
Great, great. So you are a boring investor. You stick to the process rather than going for something big. So before we wind up this discussion, if you had an advice or or something that you could kind of tell our listeners, the women who have recently entered the workforce, what would that be? How should they go about investing?
So the couple of things that I will clearly tell them is start as of yesterday, and the next best day is today. So that is number one. Irrespective of what you are earning, try to first do income minus your savings is equal to your expenditure, and that savings you have to funnel it into investments. The biggest myth most people have, and of course that's gender agnostic and more so relevant to women who are not initiated as much into the world of finance, is that they are always assuming that when their money is in the bank account as savings, that is equal to investments. Investments have to grow. Investments have to be nurtured. And therefore, it has to be routed in the right manner, which is basis your risk appetite. So go for it and think long term. And long term doesn't mean, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Long term is 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. So think long term, and I think let them be nurtured in the right manner. Don't get carried away by fads. It's extremely important.
That was a great piece of advice for our listeners. Thank you, Lakshmi, for joining the show. It was great having you here.
Thanks, Nishant.
With that, we wrap up our discussion. I'm sure our listeners have gained valuable insights from the smart and sensible advice shared by Amisha and Lakshmi. Their message is clear. Start investing early in equities, stay the course, and don't be afraid of taking a bit of risk. And of course, patience is the key. Thank you once again, Amisha and Lakshmi, for joining us for this conversation. And a big thanks to our listeners. This episode was produced by Vinay Joshi and Surohini Jain. Sound designed by Rajas Nayak and Amrit Reggie. Stay tuned for the other episodes in this series. This is your host Nishant Vasudevan signing off. Have a great day.